Well, hello, Double A Ron.
Hey, Mr. Donnie, what's going on?
Not much, dude. Getting this podcast thing rolling.
I like it.
This is the boating podcast.
Yes, sir.
Episode 1. What even is the boating podcast? What are we doing with this?
Well, I think what we need is another platform in order to interact with everybody. It's kind of hard to keep up with all the comments and the emails and everything. And I think if we just have a boating podcast that's all about boating, then we could talk about fishing. We could talk about engines. We could talk about boats, different kinds. We can talk about accessories. We can talk about anything and everything that is involved in boating and boaters.
Mm-hmm.
So people that ask a lot of questions about different things, we can just sit here and talk about it.
Yeah, answer those questions. Give our thoughts. We can address things like what we plan on doing in the future.
Maybe where we've been.
That would be probably the best first question to ask. There's been quite a few comments.
Yeah.
Quite a few comments, rightfully so, asking, where have you been? So let me ask you, Aaron, where have you been?
Well, Donnie, we've been moving. So we actually ended up moving from Marathon up to the Sebastian area in Florida. It's on the East Coast. We are, for the most part, just for the past 2 months, been kind of buttoning up some projects that we had open down there, and then trying to button up some projects that we opened up here, and getting everything done, getting settled in, moved in everything, tools and homes and repairs and cars and just all the things that you can have happen when you move.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been taking care of a lot of that, and we just started working, getting some stuff going, doing a lot of mobile stuff actually. But yeah, that's pretty much where we've been, but we're getting settled in now. Finally got the office back up and going.
Yep.
Got some microphones hooked up, a couple cameras. So now we are ready to start producing content. And we came up with this idea of the boating podcast to help address that.
Yeah. Help interact.
Yes.
Help interact. I guess that's the big thing. You know, is interacting with some of the people. I feel like there's a lot of comments and they don't really get answered. Not saying everyone is going to get answered, but you know, if you do have any particular questions or anything in particular you just want to hear us talk about, then you can leave a comment on any one of the videos. We'll go through and try to read through as many of them as we can and pick them out. Or you could email.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, ask. It'll be askbab@bornagainboating.com.
Yep.
So you know, if you've got any particular questions, go ahead and shoot us an email, and we will hopefully answer you. But what do you think? You think we should get started and answering some of those questions? Or
what is the first question? What do you got?
Well, I think we should start with, just for now, for this episode, just answering a couple of the questions on the recent videos that we just uploaded. You know, the trim tab and the power pole. So there was a few questions on the trim tab video. First one really is what kind of caulk or silicone sealant did you guys use on this install? 4200, 5200. What did we use?
We used 4200 3M. And in all honesty, I haven't really used 5200 for probably 8, maybe 7 years, and it's just too much. I mean, 5200 it's too good. One, it's runny and it makes a massive mess. So it's hard to clean up. And then once it's on there and dries, it doesn't come off.
Yeah.
It's permanent.
Yeah. No, and especially in the case of like things like trim tabs, things that could break or could have to be removed at some point. You know, 4200 is plenty in terms of sealing water out. And semi-permanent. You know, it can still come off, still cleans up relatively easy compared to 5200. There's really no point in using 5200 in anything. Most of the things you install at some point might have to come off. You know, and there's just been too many times I've encountered, for example, one time I had to take 4 fixed jack plates off of a quad engine boat, and whoever installed those was kind enough to leave as much 5200 as he possibly could on those things, and it was a project.
Yeah,
and you're trying not to freaking pull off gel coat and destroy this guy's transom trying to get these things off, but they had to come off, so we had to make it work. But yeah, no, 5200 overkill. No real point in using it
in most instances.
In most cases, for things that if you know that it's never coming off for a fact, go ahead, have at it. Use some 52. It'll never come off, and it'll do a great job of holding it in there, sealing it. I'm willing to bet you could probably run a motor with no bolts, just fully cured 5200.
Dude, I like that idea. I want to do that. We should.
It'd have to be a motor we're okay with dropping off the back of a boat, though. But I'm pretty confident, dude. Because it doesn't come off. That stuff is strong,
Yeah.
That could be fun, though. I mean, you also brought up the cleanup. As far as, there was also a comment, somebody asking, what do we use to clean up that 4200 or whatever sealant it is that we use that oozes out of the side of when we were installing those trim tabs. And really, you just use any kind of degreaser. We use Simple Green. Simple Green.
Awesome from the dollar store, Dollar Tree, Dollar General. One of those comes that yellow thing. It's $1.
I don't know if I've ever used that. I've always used Simple Green. The stuff works great.
Yep.
Smells nice too. I guess it's a pro. But yeah, as far as how you want to do it, just get at it as quickly as possible. As soon as you screw everything in and it's all oozing out, just don't let it sit at all. Because once it, it's not going to fully cure, but once it starts to cure and it gets hard on that outside layer, it's just
nightmare.
It's a nightmare. It starts streaking real bad, and it'll leave little chunks everywhere, and it just doesn't look as clean. So just soak it up with a bunch of degreaser.
You want to put that degreaser on there so the surrounding areas get wet. That way it's not, because if you wipe the 42 or any sealant really, unless it's like brand new gel coat, freshly waxed, it's going to stick to it. So if you put some kind of a degreaser or something there, it helps to keep it from sticking to that gel coat when you go to wipe it off. Yeah,
and again, you just want to be quick about it. Don't let it sit at all. Soak it up and use a cotton, like a flat cotton rag. Don't use those fluffy, like the hairy rags. Like a
or
classic
polyester rag or something.
Yeah, because that stuff just
smears it.
It smears it. It doesn't, and it leaves like little hairs behind. It's it makes it even more messy than you want it to be.
Yeah, it doesn't look clean when you get done.
No, it does not.
I think that for stuff under the water, I really don't generally like to use like silicone under the water. I'd rather just use a high-end like 3M 4200 that's, when it's under the water, you want to make sure that there's not water going to get into whatever the hole is, whether that's a transducer or a screw on a trim tab or on a transducer, like not a through hole transducer or a transom mount transducer. You want to make sure that it seals up. You don't want to have a place where water has the ability to get into that hole. 4200 does that properly. Stuff on top, if you're just sealing up a clamshell where you ran some wires behind for your electronics, or a little drain here or something like that, screws for hatch latches, stuff like that. Boat life seal,
marine silicone. Yeah, somebody asked about what we used to seal the switches when we installed them, and a lot of times switches will come with like a gasket, like a rubber gasket, or maybe even a foam gasket that'll work just fine. Or if you want to use some sealant, then like you just said, it'd be life seal, marine silicone. Doesn't have to be anything crazy like 42, and those are always easier to work with. You know, you can wipe them off so much easier. It doesn't leave as much of a mess, and it does the job just fine. And it makes it easy to remove things. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think that 3M also makes a like 4000. It's like called Hatch hardware sealant, something like that. That stuff's pretty good too. If it's plastic, you really want to use like an elastomeric because that stuff sticks better to plastic. You know, if you're doing starboard, something like that, elastomeric is kind of better for those HPDE plastic materials. Now, if you're trying to put starboard onto something, I mean, I don't know if 5200 really adheres to starboard. I've never really put it to test.
I've heard starboard doesn't stick to things
it
all too well.
It doesn't, and that's kind of the problem. But if you use that JB Weld plastic welder, that 2-part stuff, now that'll stick starboard to whatever, you know, scuff up the fiberglass, gel coat, whatever you're trying to do, put that stuff on there, press your starboard on there, and then, like, you know, you got to keep pressure on it while it dries or cures, and that's a pretty permanent seal. I know I've made quite a few like starboard boxes and stuff like that, like on a gunnel. Like if you want to put something onto a gunnel, it's usually really thin where the outside of the boat is directly on the inside, so you've only got like this much on the sides of the boat of fiberglass, so you can't really put a screw in that. I mean, when you want something permanent, you put a screw in it. But on those, I've done that plastic welder and welded a piece of starboard like to the gunnel, and then used that as a backer to screw stuff into, like different rod holders and stuff like that we put on, you know, gunnels. So,
right.
And that's held up very well. So, you know.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing to bring up, is the how to stick starboard. I never really thought of it. I always just screwed it into everything.
Yeah, screw's permanent. If you want it to not move, I'd put a screw in it. Yeah. You know.
Yep. But also another thing on that boat, I don't think we showed. Somebody had a question on the fuse. They said we brought it up, but we never showed. They don't include a fuse in that trim tab kit. I don't know, some might.
It's weird why they don't. I mean, most of the time they do.
Yeah, but they do call for a fuse. I don't remember the exact size, but you know, you just wire in an inline fuse holder and throw a fuse in there. It's as simple as that, really. Yeah,
it just goes to, most of the time, like for that one, it's got the rocker switches. It wasn't, didn't have auto retract or anything like that. It only had regular rocker switches, so there was power that went right to it, and it was all plugged into the dash. So you just find the fuse panel, and usually the fuse panel has a ground section to it as well there in the console, and we just pulled power off that to the fuse, linked it to the power wire, put the other wire to the ground. That was it. She's got power.
I guess we do have to probably be more conscious for in the future, showing like in the center console what it looks like, what exactly we did. And I guess the other side of that too is, you know, not everybody who's wanting us to install something wants a rewire.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
true.
not always going to look good. So, you know, I see the comments like, oh, there's a rat's nest or whatever, but you know, we're not getting paid to actually go take everything and make it all look nice. You know, if they want it just like that, they think it works and it works for them, then whatever we install, we'll do our best to make it look, you know, as good as we can with what we're working with. But,
because not every video that we do is on our boat. Like, I mean, we've got a good, you know, mixture of work that we do for people, and then also work that, you know, where we buy boats and do stuff to the boats and then unload them after that. But there's a good portion of boats that it's someone else's boat, and they, you know, get in contact and they want something done, and you know, we give them a quote. Well, this is what it's going to cost, and this is what you're going to get. And then, you know, some people know that, oh, well, if you want this rat's nest in your console fixed, it's going to be a lot of money, because, you know, you're going to spend a week of time in that console, undoing all these wires, putting new ends on, running new wires, and you tell someone, well, I can clean all this up for you, but it's going to cost you a couple grand. A lot of times they say, no, I just put the trim tab on there or the GPS in there, wired up so it'll run, and leave the rest of that the way it is. Yeah. And so that's what we do.
Yeah. And that's fine too. You don't always have to.
No. If
it works, it works. But it also is good to have it looking, somewhat visually appealing, and having it being functional at the same time in terms of having tension relief on all the plugs and stuff. See, a lot of things like that. If we see things that are clearly probably going to fail soon, you want to leave it better than how you found it.
Yeah.
So don't go through and get crazy doing a rewire, but fix it up, add a zip tie where it needs to be added. It's quick and easy, but
yeah, if it only takes you 15, 20 minutes to fix something, then fix it. But if it's going to take you 2 hours, then just leave it as it is. Obviously we'll tell whoever, if we're in there looking at a boat, hey, you got this going on, you might want to address that. And and also a lot of people want to do stuff themselves too.
Right.
So we'll tell people, hey, that you got this going on, and they'll, oh man, that's great. I'll do that myself, and they want to go in and do X, Y, Z, and so that's what they do. Yeah,
and that's good. We encourage you to do your own things. As a matter of fact, that's probably the biggest point of this channel. Is the BAB channel is giving you instructions on how to do it yourself and do it right, hopefully.
Yeah.
Another thing, sorry to cut you off there, but another thing that someone brought up on that boat is we should have installed zip wakes.
Oh,
and it's like, I see what you're saying. They are pretty cool. We actually did a repower on a boat in the Keys that had zip wakes on it, and they are pretty cool. Never got to install some ourselves, but I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. I'd actually love to deal with that system and install one and do all that. But unfortunately, the customer, he didn't want zip wakes. He wanted these trim tabs, so that's what we did. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I want to say that those Lincos with the plain rocker switches, there were 12 by 12 blades, and I want to say it was like just under $1,000 for just the trim tab kit itself. Whereas if you're going to put a set of zip wakes on the boat, you're definitely a lot more than just under $1,000. You're gonna be putting out a lot heavier penny than that.
Yeah, the cost factor has to be considered a lot when it comes to some of these.
Yeah, not everybody's got $5,000 just laying around.
Right.
I'm just gonna do this.
And it's not like it's the only thing this guy did to his boat. We also had the video on the power pole.
Yeah.
And,
he had a power pole at it too.
He added a power pole to that, and with that comes another. What does a power pole cost? A few grand, and
I want to say the power pole itself was just over $2,000, somewhere in that ballpark. And actually, that was another one of the comments was there was a lot of people that had never seen a power pole before.
Yep. Which is weird. You kind of, we've seen so many of them in the Keys. You kind of just get used to it being a normal part of boating, and
right.
And when you got a bunch of people asking, you forget, like, it's not everywhere.
Right.
But, but no, power poles are just a good way for shallow water anchoring.
Yep.
And I think they make them to where they extend up to about 10 feet. So not necessarily 10 feet of the bottom of your boat, but 10 feet from where you installed it, you could anchor up.
Yep, from the top of that. Or I guess it'd be the bottom of the power pole.
Right. Yeah. And they're pretty cool. They've got different speeds. They're fast.
Oh yeah.
So you roll up on a spot, you want to drop them down real quick. I've seen tons of bass boats with a bunch of power poles, and you know how those guys are. They live for speed. They run up on a spot and they want to, bang those power poles down so fast and get going. Get to doing what they got to do.
And then when they're done, they just want to hit the button, pull the power pole out of the water, and day up on plane and to the next spot.
Yeah. Good for sandbars.
Yep, it's great for sandbars too, because a lot of people, they don't dealing with an anchor is its own task. I think there's a lot of people too that get intimidated by having to go, like, say you're pulling up to a sandbar or something like that, and now you've got to maneuver the boat, which to some people is a whole deal all in of itself. So it's intimidating for someone to pull up on a spot and see a couple hundred boats or even 50 boats, and now you've got to maneuver your boat in there and then throw an anchor out and then get it to set without hitting someone else. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't even want to go out on their boat because of the intimidation factor of that. So a power pole kind of filled that gap where they can drive their boat straight into wherever, hit the button, put the pole down, holds the boat there, and then they can enjoy the water without embarrassing themselves.
Yeah.
or winding up on...
Keeps things simple.
Yeah, qualified captain.
For sure. Somebody had a funny comment about him only having one power pole. And, it works depending on what you want to use it for. Like if the current's steady and the wind's steady and everything, and you just put the one power pole, it'll turn your boat to where the current's taking you and just hold you there. But if you want to really anchor up
and be symmetrical
and be facing any particular direction you please, then having the two anchor points will hold you in place better. But double the cost,
exactly.
More labor and all that, but
$3,000 times 2.
Yeah, there you go. Not everybody's got that to shell out. Funny enough, anchors are just... It's always good to have an anchor on your boat. I'm not saying that, just in case anything ever goes wrong. But anchors are quickly becoming kind of a thing of the past. I mean, especially with trolling motors. The way trolling motors are working now, and
it's amazing. You see, 42-foot boats.
Yeah,
with trolling motors.
Yeah, they make, I think, 108-inch shaft length trolling motor now.
It's insane.
That's crazy. But it's perfect for if you're out there, in the Keys, I guess you go out to the humps and you just want to sit on a spot real quick,
or drift it, a controlled drift.
Yeah. You just drop the trolling motor and do whatever you want. Set up a track. You can hit anchor mode, and it actually holds you really well. Yeah. Even when there's current. I mean, offshore, you're getting tossed around. It's probably not going to do as good, but I remember we installed a trolling motor in it. We were testing the anchor thing, and there was some good current, some good wind, and it held us pretty much right on spot. It was pretty impressive. It was pretty impressive. Yeah. It was really impressive. And with the all the technology with lithium batteries coming out, it saves you a ton of weight.
Yeah. I mean, let's say you got a trolling motor that's a 36 volt or even a 24 volt. You got two 50 to 80 pound 31 AGM batteries at $300 a pop. I mean, that's a lot of weight to be putting in your boat somewhere, whereas a 36 volt lithium only weighs 35, 38, 40 pounds. I mean, you put 3 batteries at 80 pounds, it's a whole other person.
Yep.
You're adding a person to your boat without having a friend to enjoy the boat with you.
Yeah, no, it definitely affects, have the old way with all them batteries definitely affects performance and everything of the boats, but the way lithium technology is working now, it's all pretty cool stuff. Again, still recommend having an anchor just in case any of that stuff.
I mean, let's be honest. The first thing we look at when we go on a ride on someone's boat is where's the anchor? Right, exactly. And is it tied off?
Exactly. Don't ever trust anything electrical.
Nope.
It will fail.
Yep.
Like everything electrical does. But it's definitely cool. And it's also, everything's becoming wireless now. The power pole that the controller for the power pole is you just screw it to your dash. Yep. It's wireless.
Yep. And it comes with 2 controllers, one for the dash and then one handheld with a lanyard, put it on your neck, and
trolling motor's got the handheld, and it's all cool. It's all cool stuff how technology's changing the way boating's done nowadays.
Yeah. It's a lot of cool features. I mean, obviously it's not for everybody. Like if you're more of a, lake kind of person where you just got to like a beach where you go beach out your boat, you drive around, you got a cuddy cabin or a pontoon, stuff like that. I mean, some of that stuff's not really, some people don't like a wakeboard boat. Wakeboarders don't want a trolling motor or a power pole.
No.
It's just,
Yeah. They've got their niche uses,
Yeah.
Definitely more of a fisherman.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Kind of thing. Trolling motors anyway, but they're starting to get pretty cool where if you've got money and you want another way to anchor up, why not? You know what I mean? There's a lot of people like that too. Just got money they want to throw at things. Why not? I mean, boating's expensive.
Yes, it is.
So if you're in that world, then you've got it going. It's pretty cool to do. It's becoming more practical in terms of performance, and everything.
A lot of these accessories too are, super easy to put on. Like the manufacturers have really thought it through to where the DIY kind of person can put this stuff on. Like it's not, I mean, the power pole, obviously that one's a little different because you have to, if you're putting it behind the engine, then
you need access to a skid steer or a forklift or something that'll, hoist your engine.
Come along on the tree out in the back.
I guess. Whatever works,
But
trust it.
I mean, the bracket's a whole other cost too. The power pole, but for that reason, we could go ahead and talk about that. Is that they don't come with brackets or bolts because they come with the hardware to attach the power pole to any one of their brackets that they make. But they have like quite a few different brackets. Ones that go behind the engine, ones that go on the transom, one that goes on a pontoon boat. Like there's different applications for different boats for where those can get mounted. So they don't come with a bracket, but other than that, they come with everything. They come with, the fluid, the pump, the wiring, the controllers, and the instructions are a 1, 2, 3. You just do step 1, step 2, step 3. Like even if you are very unmechanically inclined,
they make it real easy.
Yeah, they make it easy. You'll fumble your way through it and get it done.
Yeah, and you don't. A lot of times you don't even have to worry about adding a bracket. That's if you've if you want to. But a lot of new boats are coming, like especially with jack plates.
Oh yeah,
and most new jack plates, they have the
holes right there,
holes
ready
drilled
for
on
them.
both sides, ready to put a power pole on there. And really, it's one of the easier things. You don't even have to run any wires. The only thing you got to run is those hoses to the pump, and
you got to run the wires to the battery for the pump. Pump needs power, but
you're right.
That's about it.
But normally it'll be pretty close by.
Yeah,
it won't be the hardest thing to figure out. And as long as there's no long runs of wires up to the console, like having to wire those switches, they're wireless. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool for sure.
So what's our next question?
Really, the last thing I was thinking about addressing was drilling. We just actually put out a little short on how to drill into fiberglass and gel coat and how to not crack the stuff. Somebody said to run the drill bit in reverse, and that prevents the fiberglass from cracking. And yeah, I can see that if it doesn't happen a lot, but if you got like a real sharp bit that might have like a sharp edge on it and it catches and it snags, and you could definitely chip some of the gel coat off. And it's a big problem with hole saws, especially too. I remember the first few times I had to drill like a pretty decent sized hole into a boat. I got a little nervous. I was like, man, it's a real big hole, and then you go in forward the first time, you chip a little bit of gel coat, and you're like, crap, I'm messing this up. But I learned that going in reverse, especially with hole saws, definitely does make things smoother. It might take a couple seconds longer to drill through, but what's a few seconds? You know what I mean? Batteries last long enough. And it keeps everything cleaner. It probably extends the life of the teeth on the hole saw and everything, and you don't have to worry about cracking any gel coat. Another thing is, let's say mostly for smaller screws, you don't have to worry about chipping gel coat with a drill bit. I've never seen it be a problem, but you always want to countersink the hole after drilling it so that when the threads on the screw are biting in, it doesn't pull out and crack and chip away at that gel coat. It'll only be grabbing what's under the gel coat,
the fiberglass itself.
Right. And there was a pretty cool trick. If you've got a small one, you just use the tip of a Phillips head screwdriver.
Yep.
And it'll countersink it right out, make things nice and easy.
Yeah. Avoid you from having, a chip. Most of those chips that get made are under something, so people will never see them. But it's better to not chip the gel coat if you can.
Right, because sometimes cracks will keep running up.
Oh yeah, the boat's always flexing.
Yeah, and if you made an initial crack and then you finally put something on there that might cover the crack initially, but you tighten it down too hard, let's say it'll crack it up even more. So it, it's always best to just prevent that by all means if you can. Really, that's about all we had for this episode as far as questions go.
That was it. Oh, we didn't talk about your appearance.
That's right. Donnie's appearance is on the list. I didn't really feel like talking about me a whole lot, but I guess it's a good thing we saved it for the end. I did get a haircut, and I did lose a couple pounds. I think since the last time you saw me, it's been a solid 40. I want to say 40 pounds that I've lost since the last video, and definitely 10 pounds in hair.
Oh yeah,
it was rough. It was mainly out of laziness. You know what I mean? I wasn't growing my hair out because I thought it looked good. I just didn't feel like cutting it. Trying to save $30 here and there on a haircut. You know what I mean? But it definitely cleaned me up. Definitely made me more presentable.
This is true.
Maybe a little more confident.
Yeah.
So that's all good. But there was the comments are hilarious about it.
Some people can get pretty ruthless in them comments, huh?
Oh, but I don't give a crap. I mean, it's all in good fun for me. There were some of them you can't even mention on YouTube, but
I just
it was funny. But it's we're past the hair. I don't know if I'll ever grow it out again. This was like a solid 2 years of growth though. I let that
really.
I got real lazy. I just let it go. I just let it go, man, and it was cool while I had it.
Yep.
It was definitely weird for a couple days when I cut it, but
I bet you're a lot more comfortable now, especially outside in the heat and having to get down into holes and stuff where your hair's not in your face,
Definitely. My hair being in my face was never too much of a problem because I always had it up in the bun.
Yeah.
The bun was a whole nother story. It was that was rough. There was stages of the bun. It was too long to do a full bun or too short to do a full bun. And then once it finally got long enough, it just hit things and get in the way. If I'm trying to stick my head in a small boat center console and I just snag it on the top of it. Oh, crap. So it's definitely more comfortable working on boats, especially losing weight. That was the biggest thing. It was the biggest thing to make things comfortable because now I can fit into a lot of bilges that I definitely wouldn't have fit in before. I'm still not a very flexible person, but having a few less pounds makes you a little more nimble, makes you stretch a little more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
All right. Well, if anybody has any questions, you can also ask us. We'll be able to answer more of them. So if you just drop a question in the comment, we're going to try and hopefully address a lot more comments and questions through this platform every week. Or you can even email us at askbab@bornagainboating.com, and we'll be able to answer those questions. We'll pull those questions from the email and then stick them in a video.
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead, leave a comment with any kind of questions you got about anything boating. Could even be about fishing. No matter. We'll address it.
Yeah.
We'll try to.
Yeah. There's a lot that we don't know, That's also another thing about this is to be able to get into other topics that we're not, messing with. Because we don't do a lot of inboards and stern drives and diesels and cruisers. There's a whole lot of other aspects to the boating industry that we don't even get to see or touch. So maybe even getting into the point of interviewing people and having guests on the show to, you know, get it to be more accessible to others. Whereas, you know, right now, a lot of it's just focused on center consoles and outboards. So if we can learn something from getting others from the industry in, then we'll be able to help a broader group of people.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. And also maybe even try out some new products. Install. One thing I've been wanting to do is the Seakeeper ride.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool. We should have probably brought that up with the trim tabs, but.
Yeah, we should have, because we have talked with some people there at Seakeeper, and, you know, that is a discussion. We would love to be able to do that. Obviously, right now we're in between content, and we're finishing up a project with a Grady, but that boat is actually a giveaway. It was given to us for free, and well, it really wasn't given into us. It was given to one of our buddies, and he didn't know what he was getting himself into. And
just because a boat's free doesn't always mean you should take it.
No.
You know, sometimes you can get stuck with a boat that you don't really want to put any time or money into. But you know, it's a good boat. It's good for someone who needs just a haul.
Did you see it after I pressure washed it?
I didn't. No, I didn't. Man. I didn't go out there and look at it. It was pretty dark.
You're probably gonna want to keep it.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it look that good?
It cleaned up nice. I mean,
what about the seats?
No, them seats are trash. I did, and then that's actually going to be another video on the channel. Actually, this week, maybe Sunday, maybe Tuesday, Monday. I don't know. Depends on when we get done with the edit. But yeah, I cleaned them with vinegar. I cleaned them with Goof Off. I cleaned them with bleach. I cleaned them with Barkeeper's Friend. And you can get them to be white, but they're so old that the plastic's all chipping off and they're stained.
It's probably a little porous too. It probably.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Some of the mold, maybe.
You can get a lot of it out if you want to put the elbow grease into it, but and I just pressure washed the one, so it's trash now.
The seat.
Yeah, as I was pressure washing down the boat, I'm like, I just hit that too, and
it didn't work out.
It just blew half the plastic off the top of it.
Well, crap. I mean, what pressure washer did you use?
That little 1700 he had in the container.
A little electric one?
No, yeah, it's a little electric one. Yeah.
Dang.
But that boat cleaned up nice. So if somebody's got an engine, I mean, that would be a good boat But for us, I mean, we do a lot of we want to do full restorations to a point. I mean, you know, that would have been a cool one. It's perfect for somebody that wants to take it, because now it's pretty clean. So now you just got to go in there, clean it up the rest of the way, and put an engine on it, and boom, you're got to go. The biggest problem with that boat is that there's no trailer. I mean,
the trailer's trashed.
The free boat is, you need certain things for it to be usable, you know? And unless it's a beautiful hull that you want, like if you want this, you know, old Hughes or Maverick or this old Contender or, you know, this really nice hull that everybody knows is great.
Right.
Unless you have something like that, if it's just a production line boat that there's thousands of, that doesn't ride that well, then there's not really a point in spending, you know, months redoing it.
All the time that you'd have in it taken away from, you know, like we said, we're doing the mobile stuff, so it'd be taken out of making money that way, and because really, you know, not to say money's the most important thing, but in order to push out content and acquire some of the boats to do the restores and get cool videos out, which we're trying to, you know, do more of, get rolling. You got to be able to make money on them. You know what I mean?
You also got to pay for all the stuff. I mean, you put the electronics and the stereo and the wire and the connectors and the fasteners and
any parts on the engine that need to be replaced. Depending on how old the engine is, the parts can be harder to get.
We come out of pocket for all that stuff. So
there's a lot of
it's some give and take with what boats we will do and what we won't do, because But that boat, I mean, if someone has an engine, they pop an engine on there, they're good to go.
It's a solid haul.
It's a solid haul.
It really is.
But the trailer is, you can't move it.
That's right.
That's the bigger. I mean, if that, because we do have access to a 225 Yamaha, but there's no trailer. So you got to come up with a trailer in order to really do something with that boat, and it don't fit the bill.
No, it's not worth it. And now it's stuck in his backyard. I don't know how he even got it back there.
I don't know.
It's kind of impressive.
Yeah,
Kind of impressive.
I mean, somebody will come and take it. They'll move it. It's one bump away from falling. The whole trailer, like one good bump over the railroad tracks, and that bunk, the support bracket's going to come off. The bunks are going to fall all the way down. It's going to snap both the axles. 4 tires are going to pop off to the sides, and then you're going to be in the middle of the road with this boat.
You don't want to be that guy.
But if someone has something to do with the trailer and the engine, I mean, you put a Yamaha on that thing and put it on a trailer, you're on the water. Like, I'd put a bilge pump in it, obviously.
Yeah.
But
and a couple batteries. Those batteries are probably too old to be brought back. But
for somebody that, wants to put it.
If you just want a cheap boat.
Yeah, you want a cheap boat, you want to put a couple grand in it and be on the water, you could do it.
Yeah.
And it cleaned up pretty good, too. So it's not like the most ugly thing, but,
it's a cutty. It's it's an acquired taste, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of people out there that since it's free and we're giving it away, it'll fit the bill for somebody.
Someone will want it.
A couple grand, and now you can go fishing every weekend.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, it'd definitely be a cool boat for somebody. Just not for us, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. I do have an idea to do with that 90. We might pick that up.
Yeah, that's right. An old 90 Yamaha 2-smoker.
I love that engine. they made that engine is just
bulletproof.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really is.
It's probably as bulletproof gets. Because that'd be a fun video. Just literally start shooting at the engine, see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
I bet you could blow a couple holes in it and be all right.
Yeah, there's a couple cool videos to make. But what are we going to put it on?
Well, that's something I'm not going to reveal yet.
Okay.
Because I got an idea.
Okay. You got an idea, huh?
Well, that's why you guys stay tuned, subscribe, let us know what you want to talk about next week, and we'll get to it.